With the new Superman movie, it became clear that DC has picked itself up thanks to James Gunn and the thousands of people who worked on the movie, and the millions of us who wanted something nice to happen with DC. Because this brand new version of Superman feels real and relatable. Some people started thinking that he was slightly underpowered and that an armor or exosuit may have helped him a bit. Keeping that in mind, we thought, why not create a video on the 10 most unique and powerful suits that Superman has ever worn? And here we are with the list. But before I begin, please consider hitting those like and subscribe buttons. These 2 small clicks from you will help us tremendously in bringing you more of these marvelous videos. And now, let's begin. At number 1, we have Hunter Prey Suit, aka the Mother Box Suit. There was this epic Superman story called The Death of Superman, where he dies at the hands of Doomsday, but comes back to life after meeting Pa Kent in the afterlife. But that doesn't mean that Superman would just accept defeat and let Doomsday go about his day, right? So later, in 1994, they released a 3-issue miniseries titled Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey, where Superman goes to have a rematch with Doomsday. But the Mother Box realizes that Superman would need more powers and weapons to fight and defeat Doomsday. As for the Mother Box, she is a living mini-computer that heals wounds and can instantly teleport Superman to any part of the universe. The Mother Box pretty much gives Superman a whole new suit, complete with special headgear to protect Superman from Doomsday's deadliest blows. The costume also had several pockets, and each of these pockets contained weapons and tools that were unknown even to Superman. In fact, only the Mother Box really knew how to use these tools and the full power of the Hunter Prey suit. Additionally, the pates and straps of indestructible armor protected Superman from lethal blows. The suit also came with booster units that enhanced Superman's incredible strength. And when Doomsday finally arrived, the Mother Box turned Krypton's last son into the Hunter Prey Superman. As far as the appearance of the suit is concerned, it was deep blue and red, much like the classic Superman armor, but the Hunter Prey suit also had a bit of the golden, which really helped add some flavor to the suit. So yeah, the Hunter Prey suit is really one of the most powerful ones Superman has ever donned. Cosmic Armor. The Cosmic Armor was built for war on a scale larger than any other, so much so that it could potentially make your intergalactic wars look like neighborhood gang wars. When the evil Monitor Mandrak escapes, Zilla Vala, who is another Monitor and Mandrak's wife, reaches out to Superman for help. Problem is, Clark was occupied with Lois because she was in a coma, so Zilla promises a cure if he agrees to help. And of course, Superman accepts the offer, and what follows after that was wildly thrilling, even by comic book standards. To prepare for this multiversal-level threat, Captain Atom fuses Superman and Ultraman, 2 versions of the same man from opposite moral poles, into one being. The result is Cosmic Armor Superman, also called the Thought Robot. This wasn't just an uber-powerful guy in a suit. He was a sentient machine built for a singular purpose, that of protecting the story itself. However, the Cosmic Armor was powered by every possibility, contradiction, and narrative beat across the universe. Every power you've heard of, well, the Cosmic Armor Superman had it. In fact, he had all the stuff you did not hear about too. The interesting thing about him was that he could make his way through metaphors, through storylines, through the fourth wall. He's aware he's in a comic, and he uses that awareness to bend plot, space, and time like they're rubber bands. You see, his body exists in the Monitor Sphere, the realm above the DC multiverse, where everything is pure thought and concept. The Cosmic Armor made him so powerful and fast that his abilities don't even register on normal scales. He holds whole universes in his hand like snow globes. When he fights Mandrak, the battle tears through the foundations of reality itself. The Monitor Sphere starts crumbling from the impact. Mandrak wanted to erase all stories, all hope, all meaning. Cosmic Armor Superman exists to stop beings like that, and he does. In fact, it's safe to say that he's bigger than the entire DC multiverse itself. Superman Unchained Armor. Superman's been through a lot of costume upgrades over the years, and while some are practical, the others were rather questionable. But the Unchained Armor from Superman Unchained number 7 easily ranks as one of his most useful and visually striking suits. In fact, this flashy and cool armor was built out of necessity. When General Sam Lane came to the Fortress of Solitude with tech capable of hurting Kal-El, Superman had to admit that the regular tights weren't gonna cut it. So he suited up. Like he really suited up. So the Unchained armor was bulky, heavy-duty, and looked like something Darkseid would wear if he ever chose to become the good guy and fight evil in the universe. Anyway, the suit came equipped with a hammer and a glowing energy shield. Yes, Superman with a hammer. If that sounds a little Thor, well, it kind of is. But anyway, why should Norse gods have all the fun? When Sam Lane's forces started wrecking the fortress with advanced weaponry and giant robots, Superman pulled on the armor and entered the fray. The suit bought him time. The hammer tore through enemy tech. The shield absorbed enough punishment to make even Doomsday cry like a baby. And yet, our guy managed to keep Lane's army from flattening the fortress. He held the line long enough to get Lois to safety and stood his ground even after the armor started falling apart around him. Lane eventually did manage to destroy the suit, but by that point, it had done what it needed to do, helped Superman survive long enough to push back. The crazy part is that if he hadn't used it, there's a real chance Lane would have stolen Fortress tech and maybe even killed him. That armor took a beating that Clark himself might not have walked away from. And this wasn't one of those quick one-off story gimmicks. It actually mattered in the fight. It gave Superman an edge, not by replacing his powers, but by supporting them when he needed a backup plan. Now, is this armor as good and iconic as the classic red and blue suit? No. But in terms of practicality and being visually striking, the Unchained armor definitely tops the list. Sun armor. When Superman loses his powers, it usually means trouble, and I'm talking a lot of trouble, which is not just for him, but for anyone depending on him to save the day. And in Action Comics number 1078, that's exactly what happens. Aether's been draining the sun to juice up the Phantom Zone, and with less solar energy to absorb, Clark's become, for all intents and purposes, mortal. The situation's so bad that flying too close to the sun, something that once recharged him, could now burn him alive. So to keep him from getting all fried and stuff mid-flight, Mr. Terrific and Steel come up with a backup plan and create a custom-built solar-resistant armor. The suit itself doesn't scream fancy alien tech, but it was designed to only ensure that Superman got close enough to the sun to power back up without letting it roast him in the process. This isn't the first time Clark's had to rely on science to cover for his lost powers. Steel has built him armor before, Lex once gave him a tech suit during a Kryptonite crisis, and even Bruce Gordon chipped in with solar gauntlets that worked like external batteries. Superman has gone through entire arcs where he was more machine than man, but the thing that always stays consistent is how little the armor defines him. It's never the gear that makes Superman, it's what he does with it. Kinda like Rachel once told Batman about how it's what we do that defines us, before dumping him because she thought he didn't do enough. Then she finds out he was Batman, and then she was like, "Oh, you're Batman? You do a bit too much," and she dumps him again. Anyway, coming to Superman's sun armor, when the armor finally starts falling apart during his final push toward the sun, Clark ditches it and lets the rays do what they're supposed to. The recharge kicks in, the strength comes back, and he tears through Aether's machine like the Superman we know. That moment, when he breaks free of the armor and finishes the job himself, says more than any suit ever could. At the end of the day, the armor is a means to an end. Superman's black suit. Superman's black suit has always carried weight, but in absolute power, it hits harder than ever. The original version debuted after his death at Doomsday's hands, when Clark came back in a sleek black and white number to slowly soak in the sun and heal. And it was brought to life in the Justice League movie, the one made by Snyder. In Superman number 16, the black suit was back in action, only this time, it's not because Clark was recovering from being dead, it was because he had been shot like an ordinary man. After the last son, who was basically a Superman-flavored Amazo robot, steals his powers, he drops out of the sky like a bird with clipped wings. Mr. Terrific and Dr. Midnight do what they can and patch him up, but there was no super healing this time. He was vulnerable in a way fans rarely get to see, and that's exactly why the suit returns. The suit helps him absorb solar energy and speeds up his recovery, but it's running on faith more than fact. Even Green Arrow starts to think those powers may not be coming back. Still, Clark refuses to sit this one out. He walks into the Fortress of Solitude, all bruised and bandaged, but standing tall. And the suit's symbolism gets pushed further in Superman number 17, when Zatanna recruits him for a mission around the Dark Roads, which are hidden magical paths that react to death. She tells him that death sticks to him, and in all fairness, he's walked that line more than once, and his black suit, whether he likes it or not, is all about resurrection, trauma, and pain. While Clark sets off with Zatanna into the super shadowy realms, his son John is being tortured and turned into something monstrous by Waller. Clark doesn't even know. That's the gut punch. He's walking into one of the most brutal emotional arcs of his life while being powerless, haunted, and desperate. The black suit might have started as a medical necessity, but now it's become something that symbolizes his own death and resurrection. Kryptonian War Suit. The Kryptonian War Suit was built for survival as much as it was built for destruction. On Krypton, this armor helped its wearers survive in radioactive war zones, and when Superman returned from the dead after his battle with Doomsday, it played a crucial role in keeping him alive. Designed by the robots inside the Fortress of Solitude, the suit allowed him to recover while also functioning as mobile life support. It was a second skin holding him together. But once Superman made it back to civilization and joined hands with Steel and Superboy to stop Mongol and the cyborg Superman during the reign of the Supermen, he ditched the suit. After that, it was left to gather dust, until Lex Luthor got his hands on it. Lex found the abandoned suit, dragged it back to Metropolis, and reprogrammed it as a sort of doomsday protocol. In case another alien force ever tried to invade Earth, the suit would activate. When Lex himself was dying from clone degeneration, he jumped the queue and used the armor to keep himself alive. But as one could expect from Mr. Luthor, he didn't stop at survival. With full access to the suit's Kryptonian weapon systems, Lex used it to attack Superman during the Fall of Metropolis arc. Superman had no choice but to destroy the armor to stop him. But of course, Lex being Lex, he made sure to salvage what he could. The armor's tech was reverse engineered, which led to the development of the SCU's Symbot battle armor, which was deployed for high-risk crime operations in Metropolis. The warsuit's capabilities were immense because it had Kryptonian weaponry that put it well above Earth's standard tech, or even advanced tech for that matter. Built for war, hardened by radiation, and powered with alien tech, the thing is basically a mobile weapons platform. Over time, the design became part of the New Earth continuity, and even appeared in some Elseworlds stories. Later, during the fallout of the Darkseid War, Lex went a step further. He got hold of a mother box and used it to build a new warsuit inspired by Superman himself. After the post-Flashpoint Superman died, Lex took the suit, slapped on the House of L symbol, and declared himself the new Superman, protector of Metropolis, savior of Earth. At least, until someone told him otherwise. Superman's spacesuit. Designed by Dr. Emil Hamilton at Star Labs, the suit gave Superman backup for when he had to step outside the comfort of Earth's atmosphere. Now, I know that Superman can very well survive in the vacuum of space, but the animated shows, like Superman the Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited, did not really think so, so they gave him a spacesuit. Anyway, this one also helped him with navigation and communication apart from survival, so it was more like a utility harness than a life or death capsule. The suit came with rocket thrusters in the boots, a comm system to stay in touch with Hamilton, and was made from a secret material tough enough to take on cosmic hazards. Hamilton built two suits for him, one to protect against Kryptonite and the other for space travel. Both were kept in Star Labs for emergencies. Superman ended up using the spacesuit on multiple missions, like when he chased Lobo beyond Earth, when he had to stop a meteor storm from smashing a space station, and when he pulled a monkey named Titano out of a crashed vessel that had been drifting since a failed mission 20 years ago. It came in handy during his trip to Krypton's ruins, too. He left his suit in the ship and found Kara in the remains of Argo, eventually bringing her back as Supergirl. Darkseid eventually got the drop on him and lured Superman into a trap and destroyed the original suit in the process. Later, when Superman operated more frequently with the Justice League, he started using League-issued gear. These suits looked similar across members, but where they came from wasn't always made clear. If you had to guess, Wayne Enterprises probably bankrolled them. After all, the Watchtower came from there too. Once the League expanded and their tech improved, Superman got a new version of the suit. It ditched the bulky helmet in favor of a sleek mask that covered most of his head but left his eyes and hair exposed. This ensured that he could still fire off heat vision as and when needed. This one was mostly blue, styled closer to his traditional costume with the S-shield front and center. Kryptonite suit and anti-kryptonite suit. Superman's relationship with Kryptonite has always been slightly awkward, right? So when it came to actually dealing with it head-on, he did what any self-respecting hero would do. He suited up. Over the years, there have been a few variations of Kryptonite-resistant gear, but two that really did the job are the Kryptonite suit and the anti-kryptonite suit. Both were designed to keep him alive and functioning while working around the one thing that could kill him. The Kryptonite suit made its debut during a global mission. Superman had been exposed to a dangerous dose of kryptonite, and Batman suggested he wear something lead-lined. The result was a battle suit created from titanium, laced with lead, and styled like his usual costume. But it was built to take a beating. It gave him enough protection to travel across the planet with Batman and gather up every kryptonite fragment they could find. Once collected, Superman hurled the whole stash into the sun, basically giving the middle finger to the one substance that haunted him his entire life. The suit also featured built-in oxygen reserves, a recycling system, and a smart foam layer that would seal any breaches with anti-radiation protection. Even Aquaman tearing a chunk out of it wasn't enough to slow it down because it quite simply self-repaired on the spot. The helmet had a retractable visor too, which let Superman safely fire off his heat vision while staying protected. Then there's the anti-kryptonite suit, a slightly more low-key but equally important upgrade. This one came from Dr. Emil Hamilton and was built with practicality in mind. Made of flexible titanium lead alloy, it included a clear, leaded polycarbonate faceplate. Basically, it looked like a full-body hazmat suit designed by someone who knew Superman had a pretty daunting 9 to 5. Hamilton even added a traceable radioactive coating so he could monitor Superman's location, which was handy, especially after Superman ended up in the Phantom Zone. Superman used this suit multiple times when he needed to safely handle kryptonite or face opponents who weaponized it. Parasite and Mala, both of whom were vulnerable to kryptonite, got a taste of it when Superman used it offensively. Then there were encounters with Metallo and the Joker, both of whom carried kryptonite and had no issue using it. During the Joker fight, acid from a flower on his lapel melted the top half of the suit. But by the time Superman was back out throwing fists at Bizarro, the suit had already been patched up. Superboy Prime's armor. Superboy Prime isn't your average Kryptonian knockoff. He's not even your average multiversal threat. This guy walked into Infinite Crisis with the kind of strength that made seasoned heroes sweat, and when he came back, he brought back a suit that screamed, "I'm here to kick some hero ass." Originally, he was a good kid, a version of Superman from Earth Prime who got pulled into the Crisis on Infinite Earth's storyline. But when his world was erased and he was stuck watching inferior versions of heroes take the spotlight, he snapped. And when Superboy Prime snaps, people die. During Infinite Crisis, Superboy Prime tried to punch the universe into perfection. Yeah, literally so. He took out Teen Titans like they were paper dolls and forced every Flash alive to yank him into the Speed Force just to stop him. But even that wasn't enough. He clawed his way back, wearing a new suit modeled after the Anti-Monitor's armor. The thing fed him yellow solar energy non-stop. So not only was he already one of the most dangerous beings around, but now he had an infinite power source strapped to his chest. It turned him into a walking, solar-fueled nuke. Furthermore, in Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths number 3, Green Lantern and his friends find Pariah wearing armor that looks eerily familiar. Hal Jordan immediately picks up on it and points out that the last two guys to wear something like that both tried to tear reality apart at the seams. He was talking about Anti-Monitor and Superboy Prime. The design became a visual shorthand in DC Comics for an apocalypse. Superman's ridiculously cute Master Race armor. In The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, the stakes get high pretty fast. A rogue faction of Kandorians breaks free, starts throwing their weight around, and basically tells Earth to kneel or get flattened. These guys aren't fully powered yet, but even half-charged Kandorians are still a nightmare for most of Earth's defenders. Batman, already older and banged up, scrambles to pull together whatever resistance he can. But the heroes aren't enough. So in classic classic break glass in case of apocalypse fashion, he heads to the Fortress of Solitude and wakes up Superman, who's been frozen stiff in a self-imposed exile. Once Clark's thawed out, he joins Bruce, but they both know brute strength alone won't fix this, so they get clever. Batman and Flash seed the clouds with synthetic kryptonite, weaponizing the weather itself. It rains liquid green death on the Kandorians. But Superman, being Superman, refuses to sit back and let others do the dirty work. He wears a massive lead-lined suit of armor to shield himself from the fallout and dives into the fight head first. The armor's bulky and far from elegant, but it keeps him in the game, just long enough to make the difference. And that's the point. When the odds are insane, Superman's still the guy who suits up and punches his way through anyway. Now, I know that there have been many other armors and suits that Superman has worn over the years, like the anti-parasite armor or the metal men suit. If you can think of any others, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll make a video around them too.